This is our second winter using our new Chicken Run extension. It has a few simple but special features to work for our situation. It needed to be temporary, so outside of avian flu lockdown, we don't need this extra sheltered space. So we built it with the intention of being able to take apart the wall panels and the roof and the door and store them flat. Also, the bricks around the bottom, they aren't mortared together, so those can be lifted and removed, and they're there to help keep the soil and sand in from being kicked out by the hens. We need the extension bright, so the walls are wired mesh panels and the roof is solid, but there's a clear plastic window in the middle. It needed to be space efficient because there was only a limited amount of space where the extension could actually fit before it would be like on top of the garden bed. So we had to make the most of vertical space. So we've got two wide perches that are connected with a 6-run ladder so the chickens can really spread out. It needs to be dry, so a roof helps, being next to a fence helps, having the sand and soil on top of concrete pavers helps. So next to it in the main run, we've got plastic sheeting or plastic vinyl fabric, as it's sometimes called, over the wired mesh, and that helps keep the wind and the horizontal rains out of there. And it's also built on top of this raised concrete slab, so the sand in there, that sand mix stays really dry for dust bathing, so the extension, it does get wet, but it doesn't get muddy. Another special consideration was how to connect the two runs. So we cut a hole in the wired mesh in the original coop, and that's high up on above a perch. And then we have on the other side in the new extension another perch. So they access it through this high perch hole. Now this has a few benefits. It's a bit of stimulation for the hens having to figure out how to go up and over to access food and other things in the other side of the run. It provides a break for hens lower in the pecking order so they can be on the ground on one side, scratching around, and then there's this wired mesh panel between them on the ground from the other side where the other hens could be. So they have that separate space without always having to be running or competing with each other. Have you extended your chicken's run? How has that worked out? How has the design been? And don't worry if you don't have a lot of DIY skills or tools. There's a lot you can do with scavenged materials and with a little bit of creativity. Their original coop is great, but everything has got its pros and cons. Like outside of avian flu lockdown, our hens would spend a lot of time in the garden, like scavenging and exploring and laying out in the sun. The negatives of being in this coop for the chickens 24/7 is that it's dark next to a fence, next to the outbuilding. So it's great for protection against like the rains and the winds. On hot days, it's a nice cool place, but in the winter all the time, not great for sunshine. My rear garden faces northeast, so in winter, only the very back of my garden will get like direct sunlight in the morning. And now the chicken coop, that's always been up by the house, so in the winter, it does not get any direct sunlight. And although I think it's a very super space efficient coop with all the different little layers and perches, I just didn't feel that it was big enough for my hens 24/7, so that's why we did the extension. So that's it. Hope that was helpful. Bye.